Hi, my name is Darren Bartlett and I love discussing African affairs on the continent. Now, yesterday was quite a busy day on the continent. I mean, for those of you who follow what was happening in Uganda, President Yoweri Museveni was nominated along other two, but the whole nominations will end today. So don't worry, I'm going to give you all the presidential candidates who will have gone through. We expect more 3 today or 2. At the end of the, I think at the end of the nominations, we might have 5 presidential candidates, but that could also change depending on what happens. Either they will show up with all the necessities or not, but we'll look at that later. And also, great news for activists, especially in Egypt there, as Abdel Fattah was released after 6 years in prison. He was an activist and he was arrested in Egypt. But well, President Sisi managed to, pardon him and say, please, you can now go out or probably even go back to UK if possible. That's up to him. The most important thing is that he has been released from jail. But let's go back to elections for a moment, because in Guinea, and I mentioned this just a little bits of pieces here and there yesterday when I was talking about how people went to the polls to vote for the amendment of the constitution that is going to allow General Mamady Doumbouya of Guinea to run for president, because it is what it is. I mean, it's one of those West African countries that have had coups, and then President Doumbouya sat down and his generals and whoever, his security council, and first of all ban political parties and then say, look, we are going to be here until everything gets better. In fact, you have to, the constitution allows him to renew his terms without limits. That's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, the people of Guinea have decided to vote in favor of those amendments, and it's a constitutional right. But on the other side of a democratic side, many people think that this is going to kill the democratic spirit in Guinea. However, they understand better what they have done as the people of that country. I mean, amendments on constitutions have happened even in Uganda, where we had a referendum, bringing political parties. We've had the age limit and so much. Even Kenya, which also voted in a referendum to adopt a new constitution, which they've been running for some time now. Rwanda also, one moment had a referendum and changed how the constitution runs. So it's not the first time this happens on a continent, but it's just that the political activists or analysts tend to think that the spirit of democracy tends to die because if a president is going to run without term limits, then it's going to be much trickier, especially if it gives powers to someone to go on and on. Whenever they feel, until probably they think that they cannot run anymore, that's when they will stop. It happened in Cameroon, and that's why we have a president who has been there for 42 years, 43 years, the longest serving president in an African continent, Paul Biya. Anyway, it was just a brief news for you. We'll come back tomorrow here with a long analysis of the presidential elections in Uganda after the nominations are done. So you better subscribe so that you don't miss out on anything.